12 форуме.
Hello, this is PhD 12.
Короткую дискуссию. Можно ли
We are
поставить
going to have a small discussion
Я Артем Калашников.
on a pilot.
И у нас в студии уважаемый спикер.
I'm Artyom Kalashnikov, and we have speakers Mikhail Stugin, Positive Technologies, Sergey Danilov, Rosary Registry, Evgeny Rudenko, Rambler, and Alexander Nestler, Ministry of Agriculture.
Знаете,
As you know,
у нас очень много людей.
we have a lot of people involved in providing security, and we have a reasonable question. Can this process be automated? We all know that we have a lot of different AIs which are used in different services, and we decided to look at safety, security. As we know from the open sources, there's a lot of conversations around the fact when the AI is being introduced, approximately 1/4 of involved employees can go and be outsourced or stay without any job. But I never heard a conversation what will happen in case if we will do the same thing in the cybersecurity. So the first question will be,
Поднимем эту тему. Есть ли потребность в автоматизации Б?
if the information security will be automated, whether it's good or bad.
Вопрос задать
And I would like to ask this question
Руденко в Рамблере.
to Evgeny Rudenko in Rambler. What do you think about that?
Я, как человек, пришедший
Well, as a person who came to KB from IT,
слышать такой вопрос, нужна ли
IS from IT,
возможно ли
it's a strange question. Do we need automation? Do we require automation in the information security? This automation does exist.
Мы с этим работаем каждый день.
And we work with it every day in those products for which we pay a lot of money to vendors. We pay for automation. We pay for this expertise which is put by colleagues, and we can use it.
Уже есть. Она
Automation is available. It helps us, and there will be no development without it. So if we're not going to move in the direction of automation of certain processes, we'll not be able to develop. We will have to increase our headcount, we will have to introduce some new directions, or then we'll have to select the scope of things that can be automated. And information security is not something unique. Well, you can automate a lot of things, and what our colleagues do from this point of view is an automation. They look
атаку
at the attack, they look at logs, they do correlations, and they automate a process of search of malicious activities in our infrastructure.
убеждение, что, во-первых,
So my conviction is that automation is already available.
едем дальше.
We cannot get away from it.
Именно то, за что мы
And this is something that we pay our money for in the expertise that we are purchasing from vendors.
нужно.
So yes, we should have it. We have to have it.
Мнение,
Okay, let's listen to the opinion
которое обеспечит.
of vendors which are providing this automation. Mikhail, what will you say?
Это плохо.
How good it is or how bad it is? I wouldn't say that my opinion is polar to what Evgeny said. Of course, automation is needed, and of course, we are speaking about a certain new step in automation.
Еще ресурс для автоматизации вообще.
Do we have this resource for automation in company? And in recent years in Positive, we have measured and we have worked on a lot of metrics to which SOC can be measured. And we have discovered that most likely more than 80% of time is being spent
Последующим
on something that does not require any consequentive activities from his side. It's a meaningless effort. If you're going to speak about a person working in Security Operations Center, it's more than 100 events per shift.
начинает быстро
And even with this limit, this person will burn out, make a lot of errors, will become inefficient.
100 сработать.
So even these 100 events in one shift, this is a drop in the sea of what can be processed. And we have a big area of
Автоматизация для того, чтобы
blind zone, and we need automation to control all the infrastructure and everything that happens in the infrastructure. Wonderful.
Здесь очень важно еще упомянуть то,
Also, it is very important to mention that we have the head who is responsible for it. We have a good abbreviation, even though it was adopted, Chief Information Security Officer,
и последнее
person
несение ответственности.
who is first and last in making responsible decisions. So, I have a question. Which complexities could happen for him in the process of automation?
И автоматизация. Ответственность несет за всех. Ну и персонал.
There are employees, there is automation, and he's responsible before them, before the regulators. And
Очень спросить
so I would like to ask you, Evgeny, what do you think about
в этом плане
what
определить. Для
you should do from this point of view? Is it good or is it bad? How you should position yourself? Should you complain or just leave the company?
Предыдущий спич, он как раз и был с позиции
Well, the previous speech was from this position. I perfectly understand that
персонала, который у нас есть.
with the existing personnel that we have and those objectives that we have,
Автоматизации без
without automation, without products which will simplify this work, we will not be able to pull it out.
ответственность в любом случае лежит на
Yes, responsibility is in the hands of people because every error has a first and last name. We all understand it. But even those people who are responsible for services or for some infrastructure, automation means allow them to do their job more effectively. It doesn't mean that we replace somebody. We give a tool set which allows them to do their activities better.
Доверять.
Да?
So you trust. Yes, I do.
Если
I am.
автоматизировать процесс,
Mikhail, if you will automate a process,
принесет
Just briefly.
кисло это или нет?
will it be good for KISS or not? Of course it will be good.
Мы зафиксируем это мнение, потому что
Okay, we will put down this opinion because we're going to use it in the future. Okay, next one.
у нас к Александру вопрос,
I have
соответственно,
a question to Alexander.
отвечающий за...
We as people responsible, you are as a person responsible for the cybersecurity in your area.
Или не принесет?
How useful will these be? Or maybe it will not be useful at all. Well, considering continuous
Несмотря на то, что мы видим
headcount deficit, and we see that at this event we have much more people than we've seen previously,
присутствует,
there is such hunger, and it undoubtedly will be useful from the point of view that this will allow to existing employees to do their work more effectively. And if numbers are not lying to us, then basically it will be 10 times more efficient than right now. And it will not lead to the outflow of people because the field of attack for criminals is growing. Digitalization is moving fast.
проблемы с кадрами.
Irrespectively to the problem with employees, irrespectively to the problems with regulatory framework, irrespectively to problems with other different industries where they have accumulated big technological debt. So all systems, all solutions, which possibly you will not be able to close with new methods, or maybe you will close it, but you have to close it. So there will be some usefulness in it.
У нас, как известно, вся автоматизация и
Well, all the automation, including the AI which is applied for it,
поле нигде не занесен.
in a legal field, it is not explained as somebody responsible.
Логичный вопрос.
So then we have a logical question. Can you trust automation in monitoring? Because for every action, there is a certain name and last name behind every action and every mistake.
Доверять.
And in here, we don't have it. So can we trust automation? Yes, monitoring, I can agree, but reaction, can we trust this in reaction? Okay, let's separate the concept of automation and AI.
Человека в данном случае.
Automation always requires a person. When you speak about automation as a concept of automation in general, okay, let's do it like
В суд.
the following. I have more than 200 events per day. 200,000, 600 hosts, 600,000 hosts are being attacked, and more than 200,000 events I have per day.
Количестве в 100 событий.
So with the number of 100 events, unique events, which have to be disclosed, some are collected by antivirus, somebody else.
Не разберешь. Это
But 200,000 events, you will not be able. You will need hundreds of people doing this monkey work. Do we need automation or not? It's a question,
технический. Конечно же,
rhetorical question. Of course, we need it.
производить
It's like a conveyor. When you assemble cars manually, they will be very expensive, maybe very good, but not a fact.
с точки зрения искусственного интеллекта,
From the point of view of AI, of course, you need to look at data sets, you'll need to look at correlations of events, you'll have to teach it. And if in the year 2016, I don't remember, at one of the conferences, they've been showing us the direction of movement. We had 350,000 of hosts, 350,000 hosts. And we came to the situation, okay, the first year, guys, we are going to look at the events. The second year, we will teach our system to work on this automatically. And by the year 2023, well, we have not arrived to this yet, but approximately 50% of events, including reaction, should be done by AI.
тонкая грань.
It's
Автоматизация.
a very thin border. Automation is needed. We cannot avoid it, definitely. But from the point of view of AI, we need to be very careful because
Новые для нас, для всех.
these are new risks for all of us. That's it.
Вы как
Michael,
программное
You, as a vendor of the software,
обеспечение или, ну, скорее
will you
всего,
support it? I think you will support it.
приведете в
So,
аргументах.
what arguments will you use?
Ответственность, насколько я помню.
Well, the first,
Как вендор
I will speak about responsibility as a vendor.
уступать. Или вы ее
As a vendor, do you believe that responsibility should be given to a certain person, or you will try to minimize this responsibility appearance, or maybe some other measures can be taken? Well, let's see. Honestly speaking, any tool,
Про
we're
продукты автоматизации как инструмент.
speaking about the products of automation as tools in the hands of CIS while fighting the cyber threats. So, as a tool,
Нести ответственность
it cannot be responsible for itself.
который этот инструмент применяет.
The person who changes this tool is responsible, plus vendor. Vendor from the point of view of parameters and factors which are described in their product. For example, if we say that product will work this way, will follow this matrix, and will do this, this, and this. If it doesn't do this, this, and that, it's a question to the vendor. If the tool is not properly applied, that's another question.
вендор дает нам
As I understand you, vendor gives you a possibility for this tool, and everything else is in the hands of person and the technology he wants to apply.
Тех границ, которые
In
определяют
the framework of those technologies which are applied by the vendor.
Мое мнение,
What is your opinion?
есть
Well, my opinion is very similar. There's a lot of pros for implementing these new methods of automation, including AI,
позволяет
which will simply allow you to increase the efficiency. But nevertheless,
против, скорее,
I'm not going to say contras, but pro
потому что нельзя
care. And this care should be wise care, because you cannot put all the responsibility on the neural network and artificial intelligence for decision making. Most likely, this is a system of supporting decision making, which follows certain models and behavioral patterns. After accumulating all the information about how would person act in this situation, just repeats his actions. And in this sense,
То есть тот, кто внедряет,
trainer, the one who implements the system, the one who trains the system and brings it to the condition of readiness to make this decision, he carries the responsibility. The owner of this system carries the responsibility for supporting the update of the system. You have to be careful and wise from the point of view of how fast you do that. And this is not a silver bullet. You should understand it. It shouldn't solve all the problems. If you can reduce from 200,000 events per day, which have to be processed manually, down to 100 events per day, this is a wonderful tool. But it requires servicing, settings, and care in utilization as any other tool.
я понимаю, что
So, do I properly understand you that we can automate,
к интеллектуальной составляющей, которая представляет искусственный интеллект,
but this intellectual component should be perceived carefully? Yes, absolutely. As any other complicated tool, it has to be learned. You can use it, but there are some safety precautions. Agree. Always. Always it should be present, like in
случилось чудо,
labor code. Well, for example, a miracle has happened. We came to automation and practically to autopilot. We have a beautiful tool like AI who already learned how to do this. And how should we understand that things that we have automated and gave in the hands of AI, that it leads us in the proper direction? What are those indicators which are going to show us that we are moving in the right or wrong direction, or we're not moving anywhere? Sergey, can you answer this question?
Ну, вот если сходу, вот
вот
просто
случилось чудо.
вчера
Да,
не было,
всё.
For example, the miracle happened. Yesterday it didn't happen, and today AI came to us.
наверное, какую-то обратную связь с той стороны смотреть.
So we have to look at the feedback from another side. So speaking about development,
Итерационная история.
it's still an iterational story.
Следующий, то есть
The plan should be the following. So we have a team that works in SOC.
уже добавляем.
We add to them other guys from business analytics, from the point of view of data center development, and we start teaching them.
Она у нас
After a certain period of time, it should give us first recommendations for actions for different users, and from this point of view, we can qualify
которые сидят
and we can reduce qualification for people in SOC, but the main channel should move in the direction of teaching. And after a certain period of time, we should trust more and more and more and more and more to this story. But there's another problem available here.
знают свою
Very often, not many people know all the conditions of the infrastructure,
Со стороны
and we understand that the main mistake from the point of view of architects. Well, we know, but many people don't know. Yeah.
Фактически IT-инфраструктура,
So basically speaking, IT infrastructure,
как домик дядюшки тыквы, да, здесь пристроили,
it's like the house of the.
ты приходишь,
You start learning this, you start learning that,
наверное, уже эту работу
and
проводить,
if you start doing this work inventory and very often in your domain, you have a lot of different devices which basically form the vector of attack,
первое знание, то,
which have to be analyzed. So the first knowledge of what you do from the point of view
говоря, что у тебя есть,
of down to the final bolt of what you have in your availability,
тому, что
and you have to teach your machine learning on what you're going to have in the future.
такого, что вот завтра пришли,
It cannot be like they came tomorrow, they installed AI.
так как тебе
It cannot do even the pictures the way you want.
наши
We cannot speak about our information security. So miracles don't happen like that.
года 3-4,
Yeah, it will take 3-4 years to get mature.
Вендора, скажите,
You as vendor representative, can you tell me please what can you propose from your side to those who try to find those indices which would help us to direct us in the right direction, especially speaking about control and the process of automation?
Для того, чтобы понять,
Okay, let's see. In order to understand
автоматизация, наверное,
whether we have a proper automation, we need criteria on how can we measure cybersecurity, because this is a key fundamental problem.
там есть
And in our company, we have a certain methodology that we called Information Security 2.0,
предлагаем
where we propose to look not at all eternal number of events which might happen in company,
внимание только на
but we should concentrate our attention on least admissible events which pose the highest risks to the company. Understanding these least admissible events, understanding the realization of those in the infrastructure which might happen, we can control whether truly they are impossible. And the question is, but how can you control this impossibility?
что сейчас
For example, I think that right now it is impossible to realize inadmissible events. Well, the simplest way is to do the cyber exercise.
вступление
Well, the impossibility of happening or impossibility of realization of this inadmissible event from the side of potential hacker.
простой механизм это как раз провести
The simplest mechanism is to do the cyber exercise and then look how successful the cyber exercise was. Was the hacker able to go to your assets or not?
скажем так,
And
маркер, да, так вот зрелости кибербезопасности. Это
the highest marker of maturity is when you bring your infrastructure to bug bounty from the point of view of inadmissible events. It's a crazy solution.
согласились на вот такой дерзкий.
And when we have agreed for such crazy solution, we brought positive technology infrastructure for bug bounty for inadmissible events. 2 weeks ago, we have raised our bets. Previously, we've been given 10 million rubles. Right now, we give 30 million rubles.
Это сложный шаг, безусловно.
It's a very complicated step.
Там множество
It was preceded by a number of other stages from the point of view of automation, and we are confident that availability of the automation tools will allow companies, not just positive technologies, but other companies that work with us,
встать на этот же путь, да, то есть
to move in the same direction and bring their infrastructure to bug bounty and inadmissible events, and this will be cool. And then I think that from the point of view of automation, our products will achieve success. They will be highly demanded and they will show good results.
что не только вы такие
I know that it's not only you are so bold, but there are a number of organizations. I'm not going to ask a question who else is ready to be so bold, but nevertheless.
но при этом резонно у меня вот
Well, it would be reasonable, and I have a reasonable question here.
искусственный интеллект это хорошо, с одной
AI is good on one side
автоматизацию,
because you can see automation, and as colleagues have said to you previously, you can plan what can be automated, how can it think, and we have a peculiarity when you transition, well, the new technology to AG, when you have a human thinking intellect. And there's a difference, as I know, in positioning of what it's going to do. It's a very narrow objectives, and this is the general objectives.
вопрос.
But I have a question.
Все это внедрим,
If all of this will be implemented,
чудо планомерно.
and then another miracle happens, planned miracle happens, we're moving in this direction, we set up metrics, the vendor helps us, but aren't we stay without job as people?
Именно как специалисты.
Aren't we lose our job as ISO specialists, as security specialists? Alexander, what will you say in this direction? No.
Потому что
No, we are not going to stay without job
деятельность человека, ну,
because human activity activity
разнообразно, а
is
во-вторых,
very diverse.
нет
And second of
на
all,
сегодняшний день уверенности, что
today there is no confidence that even if the learning models are well tuned, the accumulated experience by AI
присутствие человека
is able to adequately to be transformed into a next higher level. Yes, we will change. Definitely. We will do some other things. We have been looking at the infrastructure with our eyes and we've been fixing it with our own hands, but we will follow the automated processes of fixing the infrastructure and automated processes of monitoring. Our objectives will change. We will start looking wider at certain things, but AI is not going to win.
не победят, потому что, потому
AI is not going to replace us because we change faster.
Терминаторе, да?
This is like in Terminator.
Евгений, ваш.
Yeah. Evgeny, what is your response?
Я не вижу ничего плохого.
Well, first of all, I don't see any problems if we will lose a job, we'll write poetry, we'll write music, we'll do some other creative things. Definitely. About global AI.
Я поддержу предыдущего оратора.
But I would like to support previous speaker.
Меняется. Дело в том,
It's not that something is changing,
процесс борьбы, считай,
but there is an
появятся какие-то решения,
objective processes. And many of these processes will take big part of our job, but there will be new threats.
с той стороны.
And similar solutions will be from the other side. So people, humans,
Не сводится функция человека к
the
автоматизации.
human function is not just automation, even complex intellectual. There will be new threats, there will be new challenges, new solutions will have to be invented, and it's going to be much more interesting and much more complicated. Maybe our function will change, maybe the tool set will change, but nevertheless, we will stay within this process. I don't see any other problem. So from your point of view, we will control the AI, which is going to do everything. Yeah, why not?
Нужно возглавить, да?
So if you cannot do something, you should head it.
Простите, что скажете?
Yeah, Sergey, what will you say about it?
Не рассматривать историю там со Skype.
Не-не-не.
Well, if we are not looking at the story with Skynet, no, only positive.
Коллег,
I will support my colleagues.
в случае, конечно же, человек меняется.
In any case, people are changing.
Как-то лень
AI,
прогресса, я думаю, что
well, the laziness promotes the progress. So we will change ourselves and we'll have new other objectives in our lives.
в 30-х годах, когда были
So
против
like in 1930s, when we've been against, well, there's one more component of what is not available for the AI, and I will speak about it a little bit later. But Mikhail, I do understand only positive, only vendors' proposals, but internally, what is your feeling from the implementation of the AI in the security? What are your feelings?
Безусловно, у решений автоматизации у них нет
Definitely, automation solutions, they don't have an objective to fire everybody, especially in companies which are involved in cybersecurity. But main objective is that people do not routine operations, but do some intellectual, creative work.
и людям как-то больше это нравится, да, там.
And people like it more.
То есть я считаю, светлое будущее, оно
I think the bright future is somewhere in this direction. And Skynet and everything else.
Вот это
помните, там было
Yeah.
и так далее. Чтение мыслей.
Telephone, mind reading.
Ну, вот, с точки зрения вендора,
It's not a controlled activity from the vendor's point of view.
она
The
представляет
life in the future is perceived in a control of movement, control of the payments, control of the insurance.
в принципе. Вот я
But
понимаю,
generally speaking, I do understand that this is some sphere of services, security-related services. Maybe we're overdoing it. No, definitely not. No. We're speaking about release of human resources for some more important objectives and more interesting objectives
вообще сомнений нет.
from the routine ones. Well, I have no doubts about that. You know what artificial intelligence misses, and we have it. They don't have emotions.
При принятии решений
When a decision has been made,
не заранее заложенной логикой реагируют.
maybe they follow a certain predefined logic, but a certain algorithm that was teaching it. But emotionally, only people. So this is our advantage. That's why we will never stay without job.
Которые связаны с тем, какое решение принять на фоне.
There are things which decision can be made on the background of existing emotions, the feeling of intuition which AI doesn't have, and many other things. And finally,
Мы много
in
интересного
the end of our discussion, and we have learned a lot of interesting things about each other. Can you tell me, please,
остальным.
what would you wish to other IT security people? A couple of words from the point of view of automation and
Ну, я бы
what stops you from adopting AI. Please don't be afraid of complexities. There will be complexities, but it's our work.
служб экстренного реагирования.
like all the emergency services, emergency situation, it's their work. So please don't be afraid of emergencies, move on. It's a long road, but you will have to go to the end of it.
Пожелал какой-то, может быть,
I would like to wish more openness because not everybody is ready for this. We need to have some understanding that, in some sense, it's a bright future which is going to help us. Don't be afraid, and you should try something new,
более качественный.
something that will make our job more qualitative and our impressions from it more positive. Wonderful. You wake up and you have AI doing job for you.
На месте, не бояться чего-то нового.
Don't stay in one place. Don't be afraid of something new.
Фантазировать прежде всего.
Fantasize, dream.
Не просто там, я переложил бумажки там или еще что-то.
То есть
It's not like I'm moving paper from left to right.
Просто не бояться того, что
Just don't be afraid of do what you do.
когда
Don't be afraid. Yeah.
неизбежно лучше ее возглавить, как говорится.
согласен, Каюн.
You know, if you cannot do something, head it.
Это путь
And all the pathway of cybersecurity is the pathway of automation.
думаю, действительно.
So the one who moves will reach the end. So we should boldly look into the future and only automation. But there's also a fact that it's learning
В сторону
and there's a movement in the direction of intellect.
Ну, здесь скорее некая такая игра слов, да.
Well, it's a game of words. It's a self-learning. It's automation, but automation on an absolutely new level.
не совсем интеллект.
So
Интеллект.
intellect is not really intellect. Yeah, intellect is not really intellect.
Или автоматизация больше, чем автоматизация.
Or automation more than automation. Yeah, good option.
Автоматизация, да.
Or automation of the automation. Pro-automation. Or ultra-automation. Yeah, good marketing names.
Мы
Okay, dear friends,
попытались найти плюс
we have made an attempt of finding pros and cons of our automation and application of the artificial intelligence.
слышали, есть
As you've heard, there are pros and contras. But everywhere, in all the opinions of the experts, there was a simple statement and maybe a proper statement. You shouldn't be afraid of new things and move on. But at the same time, you should be ready.
не будет очень легким. И
The pathway is not going to be a simple one, so you have to plan every step, truly.
слышали, мы без
And as we've heard previously, we are not going to be unemployed. We will have a lot of things to do. And in the end run, AI should be protected as well. That's why we have a bright future. And most importantly, we need to understand
с каждым днем
that every day we become different people, stronger, newer, more advanced, and the progress also follows us, or we follow the progress. I don't know, we have not discussed it, but we will come to this. So,
все, что способствует развитию
everything that facilitates to the development, we propose, please use it. Artyom Kalashnikov, our experts.
Хакеры взломали управляющую компанию Сити.